Hi guys, Yacca here. So I'm actually up on my final hero for the 500th win, and that is the warrior class. So I thought I would actually like to make a deck showcase and instruction video around actually playing warrior. And there's two um, warrior archetypes in play right now, which is the bomb warrior and the control warrior. Bomb Warrior has kind of the same game plan as the Control Warrior and plays according to a control concept. And the deck I've been playing with a lot over the past season was actually the Control Warrior. But with the recent Rogue nerfs, not a lot of people are playing Rogue anymore. Control Warrior was a really exceptional matchup against Rogue, and therefore I played a lot of Control Warrior because there were like a third of the decks were Rogue. Now we're more down to around 15% of the decks that are Rogue, and I would say that the shift to Bomb Warrior for my play is actually due to this meta shifting a little bit. According to Vicious Syndicate, which is also a visual depiction of the different classes that you see here, but according to Vicious Syndicate, you can also see that the Bomb Warrior is actually tier 1 and second from the top on win rate. So it seemed like a perfect fit right now to move in that direction. I'm not affiliated with Vicious Syndicate or anything, but I really like some of the stuff that they're doing. Both them and HS Replay has some really good stats on the different classes and how they play out. But this visual that you see here, I'd like to just explain it. You have your own decks out here, the different classes, and then you have your opponent's outwards here, your opponent's or your opponent decks. And if you have a red color, let me just go full screen again. If you have a red color, then it means that you're unfavored, and the more red it is, the more unfavored you are. And if you have a green color, almost self-explanatory, then you are favored, and the greener it is, the more favored you are. And then you also have this kind of beige sand color, which is where you have an even matchup. So what you can see from the Bomb Warrior is that you actually have a lot of really good matchups. You won't ever find a deck in Hearthstone which does not have unfavored matchups. So even though you might be playing a deck which is really favored across a lot of classes, you will always, I haven't seen a case yet where you will not have at least one unfavored matchup. And the Bomb Warrior, as you can see here, are unfavored against Mech Paladin and against Bomb Hunter, which also kind of is a Mech Hunter. It has different names. And also against Conjurer's Mage. Conjurer's Mage is also kind of the Achilles heel of the pure Control Warrior. I've made some deck substitutions that I'd like to present to you in order to mitigate the Mech Paladin and also the Bomb Hunter archetypes just a little bit. And I think I've had some success with it. I think I'm actually, at least I am even with the Bomb Hunter, or might actually be winning a little bit more than I'm losing. But we'll see. You might even get a game video on that. So this is kind of the stats behind the Bomb Warrior. How to play then? Well, the main idea behind the Bomb Warrior deck is that you have your different You have your different cards which generate bombs that you shuffle into your opponent's deck, and eventually you control the board. You present some damage to your opponent. You start to damage your opponent, but towards the end of the game, your opponent draws through the different bombs that you shuffled into your opponent's deck, which all provides 5 damage to your opponent, and eventually your opponent dies to the different mines, the bombs that are in their deck. Many people argue that it's really awful to play against, but there are really some really good opportunities to play against Bomb Warrior, and there's some good strategies in there. And the good players know different ways of actually playing around the different bombs that you have in your deck. But we'll get into that maybe a little bit later on if the opportunity presents itself. But I'd like just to show you the deck I'm playing with, and then I'll review that with you, and then we'll jump into some gameplay and go for win number 500 on my warrior class. Okay, so this is the deck as it stands. It is quite a... There's no real surprises here if you copy a deck list from HS Replay or whatever, where it has the tag of Bomb Warrior. It's going to look somewhat the same. Some have Darius Crowley, some have not. But generally this is how it actually looks. Many have started to include Azalina. I have tried it a few games, but I haven't seen the light in that card just yet. I'm not sure if that's a specific matchup that is worth actually running, or whatever might be the case. But as it is, it's not something that I've seen any success with. What I've included instead, in order to mitigate the matchup against the Mech Paladin and the Mech Hunter or the Bomb Hunter, is I included a Spellbreaker. Because it is really difficult for you to deal with the mechs that is presented through the Mech Paladin and the Mech Hunter archetypes. Because, for instance, your Dynomatic, which is a great removal tool, does not affect mechs, and you don't have a good way of actually then getting rid of the minions that your opponent is presenting on the board. But they use Magnetic a lot on small minions and continuously grow them. And if your opponent has like a huge 11, 14, whatever, taunted lifesteal minion, then the Spellbreaker might reduce it to just a simple 1-3 or 2-2 or whatever, and all the magnetic stuff just disappears. So Spellbreaker is really a key card in the matchups against Bomb Hunter and Mech Paladin. And I think that card alone has won me some games. And that's one strategy. In other matchups, it's not going to be that profound of an impact. But there are, of course, situations where Spellbreaker is just fine to drop. But I think that we'll need to talk into the specific matchup when we arrive at the game. But just be aware that the general game concept, the game strategy, how you win with Bomb Warrior, defining your win condition, is control the board, shuffle in bombs, and then grind out your opponent's threats that he puts on the board, and win through the bombs exploding. So that's the general high-level game plan of how you win with Bomb Warrior. And then there are some things where you mitigate against your opponents whenever they are playing anything, whenever they're playing some specific decks. But let's jump into a game and see how we fare against our opponent, and see if we can hit win number 500 and get the golden hero. So I am against one of my strong suits, which is the rogue. The rogues that are left in the game are usually still the temple rogues with the lackeys. People are still trying to make it work, and it's actually still quite good. But you are at an advantage whenever you're playing Bomb Warrior or Control Warrior. Control Warrior is the stronger suit against the rogue, but this is just fine. What you want to see is you want the 1-drop so you can contest the board right away. So how you win against rogue? They want to tempo out. They want to present a lot of threats and a lot of damage. So you need to continuously armor up and control the board and be at a high enough life total for them not to pressure you, to pressure your life total, and hence winning through them tempoing out a lot of stuff. I'm just gonna drop the 1-drop here.
Job's done.
This will continuously provide armor for me, and allow me to have both a high health total, life total with the armors, but also that I can use a shield slam. A key concern is if they use a lot of cards in order to throw out an Edwin Van Cleef. Sorry. So that's the general game plan for them. If they can provide a significant enough threat in the early game, then they might be able to close it out. Because we're not usually running executes. But this is a pretty decent start for us. He's using his resources in order to clear that one, which is perfectly fine. So right now, I should have, both with the rush minions, I have good grasp on the board. And I can start to shuffle in some bombs. Many times you would like to have your augmented Elec, which shuffles in extra bombs. But it's not usually the case that you want to sit around and wait for the Elec to drop. Sometimes you do want to. In this matchup, it's more important just to get the threat out there. And start to affect the board. So what I want to do is the militia commander is actually something where I can do an instant threat, instant appearance on the board, and together with Omega Devastator. Omega's Devastator is definitely a lot better on 10 mana, but at that point in time I should already have won or lost against the rogue. So I'm just gonna drop out the Omega Devastator right now, and then I have another minion on the board, which I can use to trade into what my opponent drops. A lot of the damage rogues can present is through being present on the board. And then there probably will be a Dread Corsair or 2 dropped. But I can control that with my Omega Devastator and a Militia Commander.
Defend the gates.
What is a concern here is my opponent can drop. That's the bomb I shuffled in. My opponent can drop a minion he wants to return to his hand. And that is a challenge, and right now I can't do anything with it. I do have the opportunity to remove his Waggle Pick through Weapons Project, but that's the only weapon removal I have in the deck. But he's kind of wasting that one because he's not shuffling back anything. And I can get rid of that one really easy. And the Warpath is definitely also good. Because if he presents a broad board, then I can get rid of it. Right now I just want to clear that one. Also, Omega Assembly. I should have done that first. But Omega Assembly is a card that you want to drop on turn 10. Right now, as I mentioned, in this specific game, all other matchups, I'm probably going to wait until turn 10. And also here, if I had something to play, I wouldn't drop the Omega SMP.
Maybe.
But right now, I want something to damage on the next turn, or to present some kind of initiative. And therefore Celiax is really great. That affects the board just as soon as it hits. And then I can get rid of this one. And right now, if I can control whatever he drops right now through Warpath or Brawl, then I'm not really in a hurry. I'm at a high health total, and I want to draw some of my threats I have in the deck. For instance, Dr. Boom Mad Genius is definitely a good card. But against the rogue, the control plan is really important. Guess this is fine. He's not presenting any minion right now, so I won't drop the Celiax just yet. Those 4 damage should be inconsequential. What he wants to go for is, for instance, Leroy Jenkins. So Leroy Jenkins plus this one is actually 16 points of damage. Because Leroy is 6 and a 4 from the Waggle pick, and then he can drop at a discounted cost, drop Leroy at a later stage.
Drink up me hearty.
Okay. Darius trades evenly, but I'll just like to use the Warpath here. That's just as fine. He's running out of resources now. He needs exactly to have Leroy, and still it's not completely great for him because I still have Celiax. I can heal up with that one. That was a discovered card, so I still have my regular Celiax in the deck, so I can heal for a lot of damage. And I have an initiative card with Darius Crowley, so he can drop whatever the newly reduced life total lackey, and I still have a good way to actually get rid of that. And I have 3 board clears in hand, so I think that's fine. So 5 damage. I don't want to drop Darius Crowley in that, but I can actually push out a threat. And if he's not doing anything there with his Waggle pick, then I have continuous damage. I really want to draw into my bomb generation, because one key option a rogue has is they have the unstable element they can drop, which draws the rest of the deck, and then they have a significant amount of threats available in the hand. He knows he needs to get rid of that one.
The Brotherhood shall prevail.
That's not really too much of a threat, is it? You can drop it again.
Halt! Who goes there?
The Brotherhood shall prevail.
To do just that. So a brawl right now leaves a 50-50 for an excellent result. And if I do not get that one, if the Edwin survives, then I can still heal for 3 because I'm on 10 mana. So if I have a 50-50, if just the Henchclan Thug survives, then I win with the Celiax. I clear the board. And if the other one survives, I still have a good chance because I have 2 rush minions. I'm going for the brawl now. I have a backup brawl. Therefore, I think this is really fine. So I guess I've already won. I drop Celiax, and he probably concedes right now. If he does not draw unstable element, then I don't see a way for him to come back. That was a kind of an all-in play. He pushed everything that he could. Yeah. And this one should push him over the top. There we go. So I managed to stay in control of the board. I've conserved my resources to clear off all the stuff that he could present and grinded out the rogue, so to speak, and just introduced enough damage to pressure the rogue. And in this specific case, they did not even have the chance to get a any way of doing a comeback. This is also a great counter whenever they're playing against a control warrior. But this is looking like a very one-sided match. I'm not in any hurry right now. Even the most significant threat that he had for him to actually come back into the game is more or less done now. It's down to unstable element where he draws the rest of his deck. And even then, if I then draw a bomb, then he's more or less done. He wants to have the one that clears, the one that gives 2 damage, the Cobalt Lackey, yes. I still don't see a way for him to come back, not at all. Just trying to clear off some resources. But I just have a very clean way of actually getting rid of that. I'm not in any hurry at all. But I want to see what I draw. I'm probably going to drop these 2. If I'm doing that, then I want the hero power as well. So let's do that. Just going to clear off some minions. I don't want to keep the next. I'm not too concerned about damaging. I could have kept the dragon and then given him a single damage, but that's not really too important right now. I just want to answer all the threats that he puts down on the board. I still have a bunch of resources for that. And that's the realization of the game plan. And then we got our win number 500 with Warrior, with the Bomb Warrior, which is in a really good spot right now. It's not the cheapest of decks. It's probably above 10,000 dust. Haven't done the math, but it's in that area with all the legendaries. But it's a really solid deck right now. So let's go for the golden animation to see our 500th win with Warrior. And that's the last one. There we go. Golden Warrior. Alright. So that's great. Hopefully something that you can use. Generally it's the same game plan concerning control with whatever opponent you have, but you have to be cautious about their game plan and then play according to that. But this was a benchmark example of how the deck should be played, controlling the threats your opponent puts out. Don't be too concerned if there's only a few minions. You do have options to actually get rid of them. And that's just it. Any comments? Feel free to comment. Give a thumbs up if you like the video. Any comments that you have to share which improves my content, that's perfectly fine. And thanks for watching, guys.